I'm always looking for feedback. I heard a long time ago, feedback is the fuel of champions. I think Ken Blanchard said that. So I want to know, is what I'm doing helpful? Am I wasting your time? Are these videos a complete waste of your time? I can handle criticism. So again, please give me feedback if there's things you don't like, don't agree with, or subjects we should be discussing. I also want to hear the good stuff. Are these videos helpful? And so I got a very humbling email from Sammy Khalafa, owner in Montreal, originally from Morocco. And so Sammy, I really appreciate this email. I want to share it. My team and I watch all of your videos. Your videos have contributed to our success on Amazon. In the last year, we opened 1 new office, and we have 2 assistant managers preparing to open new offices. And I also banked over $300,000 last year. So man, do I love hearing feedback like that, Sammy. So awesome. Kudos to you guys in Montreal. Keep up the great work. And again, I'm glad these videos are helpful to you and your team. You ask this, can you share your thoughts on learning? Smart people learn from everything and everyone. The average person only learns from their experiences. And stupid people already have all the answers. So it's an interesting perspective, Sammy, how you put people into 3 different buckets on how they learn. And so I'm going to share with you my 5 thoughts with really learning. So here goes, Sammy. I hope you enjoy this. Sammy, my first thought for you, whether you like this one or not, I'm not sure, but the older I get, okay, the more I realize I'm really not that smart. How is it that I feel dumber? I'm learning, I'm growing, yet the more I learn, the more I grow, the dumber I feel. How is that possible? And so I think it's really this. I think a little nugget of wisdom is as you grow wiser, you realize that there's so much more to learn in life. Like you don't have it all figured out. It's interesting, in my younger years, in my teenage years, early 20s, man, I thought I really had everything figured out. I was borderline arrogant and cocky. Just on I thought I knew a lot. And again, as time has marched on, I'm like, man, I really don't know much at all. There's just so much more to learn. And so I hope we all sort of experience that where, as you're learning more, you're just feeling like you want more. There's more to learn. I hope we develop this appetite and this yearning to continue to grow. I think that's a great thing. Again, just a really insatiable appetite to grow, level up, learn. So I think that's my first thought. I'm hoping as we get older and as we keep learning, we realize there's so much more to learn. That's thought number 1. My second thought, big word here, curiosity. I let my children know, curiosity is an indicator of intelligence. You'll find highly intelligent people, they're just really curious. You'll see a lack of curiosity on the opposite end, just an unwillingness to grow. Just really not curious. You're not really trying to grow. So I think we need to develop a healthy attitude of curiosity. Keep asking those questions like why. Again, think of a youngster, why is the sky blue? You got to love that curiosity. You don't want to squash that. You want to just continue down this journey of curiosity of human nature, curiosity of what the future is going to bring. I think all that curiosity will lead to innovation. It'll lead to new ideas, new ways of doing business. It'll really lead to success. So be curious. That's my second point. My third thought for you, Sammy, is something you've already alluded to. Can you learn from other people? Obviously, we're all learning from our own experiences, right? Ever since we were little. You're a little kid, you touch a hot stove, you're like, oh, note to self, better not do that again. So I think we're already in that mode, but can you learn from other people's experiences? I think that's a great question. And I like how Abraham Lincoln quotes it. He says, I learn from everybody, even if it's sometimes what not to do, right? Everybody has something to teach you. I think that's a really healthy way to live life. Everybody, every person you come in contact with has something to teach you. Some will teach you what not to do. Others will teach you what to do, but everybody is your teacher, right? So one of the values I've always taken from the field, something I was excited about, as a brand new person was, man, I really feel like I'm learning and growing because I'm experiencing so many different walks of life I normally wouldn't meet. I normally wouldn't talk to, grandma and grandpa, at the door. And so again, back to curiosity, I always remember, talking to an older couple that seemed to be in love, I'd always take my sales glasses off and put my curiosity glasses on and be like, hey, out of curiosity, what's the secret to success in marriage? I want to have a long marriage one day. What have you got to teach me? So some curiosity. There's also other customers that were maybe mean or in a bad mood, and sometimes I'd take those sales glasses off and I'd be like, hey, is everything okay? Like, what's happening? And I'd like to learn from some of the decisions that they made that led to some misery. Like, can you learn from that? So I think it's smart to keep your eyes wide open and look at every person you come in contact with as a teacher, and you will learn something. You will learn from others. You'll obviously learn from your own experiences, but learn from others. My fourth thought for you is something I heard from Sebastian Angus a few months ago, and I'm like, well, that's a really smart way of putting it. He says, don't be a baby bird. That's really what he says. Don't be a baby bird. Don't regurgitate the same information that your parents gave you. Think of a mother bird just putting food in a little baby bird's mouth, like, okay, hey, thanks. That can't be your only way of learning, that you're just regurgitating what you've been fed. Go hunt your own knowledge. I mean, think about it. We live in the information age, or maybe that's even an old school term. Maybe it's a new age, but anything you want to know is at your fingertips. Like, just learn and hunt the information. The other day, I was under the paradigm that, eagles, right? The way they train their baby birds. And I remember hearing this a long time ago, I think as a child, might have been some documentary I saw, and I was under the impression that, mom or dad eagle will fly and roll, and this is how they teach. I'm like, before I go regurgitating that, before I give this information as knowledge, let me double check that. And I go to learn that might not be true. I'm not sure whether it is or it isn't, but don't just regurgitate the information you've been given. Get the information, hunt for it. I think we've all learned this with the news as well too. I mean, is there fake news out there? Yes, and I'm certainly not making a political statement, but feel free to learn from both sides so you can really get to the truth, on your own. But you can't just take a news source like, yep, that's truth. You got to kind of get it from a lot of different angles to really come up with your own thoughts, your own opinions. So that's my thought. Don't be a baby bird. And my last thought for you, Sammy, and I know you've heard this before, when the student is ready, the teacher or teachers will appear. I mean, we all know that. Now, the part I want to unpack here a little bit is, well, how come the student isn't ready? I mean, when everything's going great, okay, when we're comfortable, well, I don't know if our student mentality is at its best. Sometimes it requires pain. Pain can be the megaphone of, do I have your attention? Think about it from like a sales slump perspective. So you're in a sales slump, everything you touch is turning into mush, like nothing's going right. Maybe it's time to get with Bob, the high roller who's killing it every day. Maybe it's time to learn how he overcomes objections. Well, where were you 2 weeks before the slump hit to really get with Bob to prevent this pain? Again, sometimes we're just creatures of learning from pain. Like sometimes that's the teacher here. But again, when the student is ready, the teachers will appear. Years ago, I had a friend come visit and he noticed in my library, he says, oh boy, you sure read a lot of John Maxwell. I'm like, yeah, he's my favorite author. Love John Maxwell. One thing led to another. Next thing you know, I'm having lunch with John Maxwell. I mean, what an awesome opportunity that was. And I remember asking John in that lunch, I'm like, hey, could you mentor me? Could you be my teacher? Could you be my leader here? Now, he laughed at me. And so that was a little humbling, like not a chance was that going to happen. But I wasn't afraid to ask. And somehow I got in front of John for a lunch. I ended up having a second lunch with him. So again, good things can happen when you're ready. Like you'll reach out. You'd be surprised when you reach out to people on LinkedIn and other avenues, who's going to get back to you. So, be eager, be a hungry student. And I'm telling you, plenty of knowledgeable people will enter your life when you're ready. So get ready as a student, and I'm telling you, plenty of teachers appear. So that's what I have for you, Sammy and team. Keep up the great work in Montreal. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys this summer, and I'll talk to you soon.